So I was kind of skeptical in doing this video again because WWE right now is not a great product. I didn't really want to spread the word of WWE, but I need to do something because I'm not getting any subscribers. So this is an easy video to do. Also, I have a video in the bunker for months now, and I really need help. I asked out in the last video. Copyright issues is WWE their thing. You know, if you know some way you can help me get through this, I would gladly appreciate it. So, and yes, like I said last year, this would be a fun video to look forward to and not look back to, and be like something that is unscripted and I do annually. So how I also progress, plus I can milk it with reels and shorts. So I'm going to do that.
It's Tozawa.
No. I had to show Tozawa that I'm him.
No, your mama named you Carmelo Hayes.
Hayes is someone who was... I love Hayes. I'm such a big fan. One of the reasons why I watched NXT at the time was Carmelo was doing so great that year. He had great title runs, that trilogy with Ilja. So I was like, they really need to understand how great he is. And I thought they did because he was the first round picked, you know? He said that for months actually. So I understand, okay, they know his value, that's why they did this. This doesn't make much sense, kayfabe, if you ignore that, but in that time I was like, okay, they're doing this because they need to show the audience how good Carmelo Hayes is. And he has that first match with Cody, which has more commercial breaks than it has anything else. But okay, it was for him to show up. He goes to Money in the Bank. He has that great rivalry in the summer with Andrade. Man, like it was godly. And then he has his second pay-per-view match at Crown Jewel for the US title. And a lot of people, I mean, I love much more I love Andrade and Melo than I do love LA Knight. But I'm like, okay, I'm cool if they don't give the title to either of them and Light retains, but at least do something with that moving forward. And that did not happen. And so he was ignored by a bit. He gets 7 minutes in the Rumble. I had to check this out. He gets 7 minutes in the Rumble. And I'm like, it's over. You know, it's over. Melo Don't Miss happened, which I'm glad it didn't turn out to be longer. And yeah, I mean, while you have a lot of these guys that I'm going to talk forward actually doing something, Melo didn't do nothing. He get the consolation prize of being the Andre the Giant winner, but again, that doesn't do anything. You look at guys like, I don't know who won it, but realistically, it doesn't do much. And unfortunately, he's kind of lost. And somebody who should be right now, it could be a US champion. It's just sitting in catering most of the time. Actually, I like the matches that he had with Black. It was really good, but I don't think there's this call up. And I'm just going to clarify, this is not a tier list about the wrestler itself, it's a tier list about their call up. So the call up in itself, I'm going to give it a C. Bron, I was never scared with Bron in terms of like getting over, because I think Bron is so WWE coded in the sense that it's not like he wouldn't have success anywhere else, but I think he's somebody who would have success in every era of the WWE. You put him in the 80s, put him in the 90s, he's having success. So the approach that I went with Bron was, I really liked it initially, because instead of putting Kimmick into the ring and losing early on, kind of goes into squashing randoms, looking like a lunatic, and it made sense, you know. Then he goes for the IC title almost right away, and at the time he kind of lost the first match to Sammy, and he got a lot of controversy. A lot of people were mad at this. I think it was an okay decision regarding what happened next. You know, he gets to win it at SummerSlam, is a bigger stage. I don't think that is really important as them sometimes make it feel, but yeah, he gets to be IC champion in some months after being called up, which is great. Then we have the infamous Jey Uso rivalry, where he loses the IC title, and I'm going to choose to ignore that because he did have a good reign. That months with the have with Sheamus and Kaiser fighting for it, and then it all ends at Survivor Series in a really good triple threat. You know, like, he did have a good title run. I feel like the middle part of it could have been easily and better managed than it was, but it was good. He goes 22 minutes at the Rumble. The Spear to Roman is such a testament from WWE to make you understand how great they look at Bron Breakker. And so yeah, loses the title at Mania. He doesn't get pinned for it. He doesn't really want to go back to it. And right away he goes to Rollins faction. And you can understand in Rollins faction that once again they value Braun. And once again he is over with the crowd. So he was a really well done call up. I think he does deserve the S tier.
Joining me this evening. I've done extensive and in-depth research on the entire women's division.
I mean, I'm going to be honest, I'm not a great Kiana fan. I don't want this to be rude or anything, but even if you look at the women's roster, considering the call-ups that we had since then, you don't have much face for Kiana. She has that 2 matches on Raw. I only remember the one with Natalia, and even then, like, I mean, then she got injured, so it's not really WWE's fault, but all in all, it's a need.
You were thinking of me in the shower.
No, idiot. Us. The team. I was thinking of the team.
Not much better.
Corbin is a one that I can't. He's not with WWE right now. It's weird because Corbin, for years, people didn't like him, and now he was on NXT. He was actually reinventing himself. I think that I was liking him more in this last NXT run than I did ever. And man, this guy did have a fun tag team with Braun, the Wolf Dogs. It was really cool. It was a great way to also close Braun's stuff with NXT because he was already champion for a while. And Baron was getting somewhere. He was doing cool stuff, and he gets called up. And I don't remember anything that he does. He gets pinned by Melo in King of the Ring, which was a good way to put someone younger over. He gets in a tag team with Cruz, and that's that. Then he gets released some months afterwards. Again, like, at least he was on TV. But even then, if he was doing cool stuff on NXT, why would you take him? You know? Either way, it's a D.
He's eating the ropes.
I'm going to try not to be biased. Again, this is the guy alongside Melo that made me watch NXT last year. Not last year, the year prior to call up. Because he's great. He was already proven to be great before arriving into NXT. But man, like, this guy is out of this world. He does have the debut match against Ricochet that is a banger at King of the Ring. And then something happens. It's the match, one of the matches that I see most controversy is Jey Uso match in King of the Ring. One thing that I kind of appreciate throughout Ilja's run, and this also includes the Jey match, that's what I'm telling you right now, it's the fact that he's somebody who at least main evented Raw 4 times. That is a positive aspect of his run. But again, even the Jey match, as much as I love Ilja and as much as I don't like Jey as a single star, I understand why they did this. If you put Ilja there as kind of a healer, I don't think that you can get his best side way better as a babyface. But again, I kind of looked the other way around and I saw like they're teasing the stuff with Gunther, so they have big plans for him eventually in the future. And then yeah, it kind of gets into that rivalry with Breakker and Ricochet, which was really fun on Raw, and it was kind of sad that they didn't get the payoff like at Clash of the Castle or something, but it is what it is. Weird because I don't really think that you did great stuff with Ilja all the way. Like, he goes off in August and doesn't do anything. All these main events, I think they're cool, but they also, like, you know that he's not winning the Money in the Bank match. You know that he's not going through King of the Ring. You know that he's not going to take the title away for Sami. It's cool TV time, but I feel like you never had a great storyline since he came to the main roster. The only thing that you have is the Bron Ricochet stuff that I think ended a little bit earlier because of Ricochet also leaving. And again, then you have the August without any matches, and then bam, he gets injured in September. It didn't come back since. I don't want to be one of those call-ups that I look back to like I did with Dragon League, which I put him at A because I was hopeful that they understand the value of Dragon League, and looking back on it, that is really dumb for me. But I'm putting it at B. You know, the main events get him here.
And the Morrigan is basically transforms into a raven or crow and hovers over the battlefield and decides who's going to win a battle. So it's all this deep meaning behind it, and everyone's just like, ah, bird.
The bird lady. Lyra for me is one of the most interesting cases. As much as a fan I am of Lyra, and she is like the women's division equivalent to what I said about Ilja and Carmelo, I was so scared for her in the main roster because I did not think that she was going to get over, especially as quickly as she did. If I'm being honest, way better than we thought in the beginning, especially because she goes to the finals of Queen of the Ring and she beats Io in singles matches. At the process, Io was just world champion months prior, and man, I'm like, what? I was so hopeful that she would actually win the Queen of the Ring. In the back of my mind, I knew that wasn't going to happen. But she gets a really good match out of Nia Jax, which is somebody who I don't really like much, and I think that Lyra gets one of the best matches that she has. So she goes into Money in the Bank, and I'm like, okay, they have big plans for Lyra, but then she goes lost all summer, doesn't do really anything. You kind of lost an opportunity there to a rivalry with Liv until Rhea came back with all Becky stuff. A really good surprise comes in the beginning of the year with her being the chosen one to be the inaugural Women's Intercontinental Champion. And I was happy. I was so happy for her. You know, also the beginning of the reign was not great. She didn't defend him for a while, but then she ended up having a lot of matches on Raw, matches that I consider to be good, the Ivy matches, the Golden matches. There was not a lot of storytelling, there's not a lot of a storyline being told there, which I think it was a little bit of a lost opportunity at the beginning. But again, you have a lot of great matches with a lot of women in the mid-card, also proves how great Lyra is. And then the Mania 42 build was kind of weird with the whole Bailey thing. She doesn't defend the Intercontinental title. You do then have the rivalry with Becky, which I think is what really the title was really missing. You know, a big rivalry with a big name. She gets a win over Becky at Backlash, a clean win, which is like after returning Becky Lynch. And this is such a great testament to how great Lyra is, in my opinion, because Lyra is somebody that when you have a solid main eventer come back after a year and the people are cheering for you. You look at Cena and Cody. Man, Cena is also more loved than Becky is, I think, but either way, you see it. You have somebody came back, especially American crowds, they also go for the old school one, and people are cheering for Lyra. That is great. She silently became one of the most popular and, in my opinion, one of the best women in the roster. She was already one of the best women in the roster, but I think she really solidified that, and she's like top 5 in this point in time. Genuinely, the only people who I think she can compete against, her, probably like Rhea, Io, Bianca. So give it Kairi Sane, and at the top of my head I don't remember anyone. And Belly and Becky. But all in all, I'm not going to give it an S because I think that it was poorly handled compared to Bron ones. I think that it was Lyra being so good that actually made it so high in this list. So Nate.
I'm dressed for the occasion. Which one of you bitches wants to fight me, yeah?
This is so weird for me because I really like Blair. Again, I love this batch of wrestlers, especially the ones here. And that's one of the reasons why I did the video, because I really love Blair in that same vein. She could have been doing, especially in the beginning of the year when I feel like the women's division on NXT was not thriving a lot. You kind of had Roxanne carry a lot of its weight. You could have put somebody who has a lot of experiences like Blair there, but you decided to call her up. But she was never on TV after her call up. And then it thought like the thing was going to start going for her with that all alliance with the Unholy Unit, but as quickly as you made that, you kind of drove her away from Alban and Isla, so she got lost. And then she gets a victory over Naomi, and I'm like, okay, we are back, Blair gang, we are back but we are not back because she gets off TV for 2 months. She only comes back to be pinned in the US title tournament and then released. Again, I think that you fumbled massively somebody who could have done cool things for the women's division. in the main roster, but at the same time somebody who could held NXT for some months before these new names came. Again, you decided not to do that. It was a really poor call up. I'm just hoping that she has all the success wherever she goes.
Hey, Dijak, take those stupid sunglasses off. We're inside.
And this one gets me so mad as well. Dijak is somebody that was on the top of his form. He was getting great matches out of the likes of Ilja, Joe Gacy, Wes. He was so good. Bron, he was so good performance-wise. He actually was one of the very best you had in the ring. He got rivalries with a lot of people. He never held the Masters Championship. And this was the reason why I was scared of him being called up, because you had Melo, you had Ilja, you had Bron, who I think were more urgent to be pushed right away, and also Dijak in there. It would be a lot of new names, also with guys like Andrade, who just came back months prior, Dragon Lee. So I was scared for Dijak, but at least I thought they were going to give him a chance. But that does not happen. It never wrestling, never did anything. Instead of getting called up, if you're going to take these guys out of your men's division on NXT, you could have at least let Dijak there. It would be such a great help, because the division was lost. Call him up, to never call him, to never make him have a match, and then poof. I haven't seen much of him since, actually. Just a side note, I saw the match with Riddle at MLW, but yeah, it's kind of sad that he's in E when he could have either be really high, because I don't think that he needed to be a main eventer straight away. But yeah, it is what it is.
He is an athletic piece of clay that can be molded by the right person.
Gacy was called out way later, and this is a weird case because it was kind of a silent call up. He was getting in that old Wyatt thing stuff, and I liked Gacy in the ring. I don't think he kind of got to the levels of the one that I mentioned before. None of them, unless for Corbin, match I think his quality. I think they're all way better than he is. But I never liked him because of the schism. That was such a poor gimmick in my opinion. It felt so unnatural. I know it's kind of a nod to the Wyatt family, the original Wyatt family, but I think it didn't get the same charisma, it didn't get the same vibes that it did in the early 2010s. The problem is the Wyatts kind of had a weird run. I saw, like, as the time of this recording, it just made 1 year that they debuted. They didn't do much. They kind of have that early rivalry with American Alpha. Now they got, then they got the Final Testament. We have the American made feud off TV for 2 months, Final Testament feud that they lost, and now they just came back to TV with a match against the Motor City Machine Guns. So again, I don't think that is as bad, of course, as these ones, but the fact that they didn't hang without Bo because Bo was injured, I think is a solid reason why I think this should go as the helping with the video that I have in the bunker from WWE. I really want that. Please help me, because my PC, I need to clean up some stuff, and I need that video out there. That's that. Thank you so much.